हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम और वेलकम बैक टू द कोड फॉर प्लेसमेंट चैनल। आज के इस वीडियो लेक्चर में लोग देखेंगे हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू ज्वाइन मल्टीपल टेबल्स। सो फॉर एग्जांपल, बैक इन एसक्यूएल स्टोर डेटाबेस, लुक एट द order table. So if we can see, the order table is available. Now you can write and query to join this table with the customer table to return the information about the customer who's placing each order. But here we also have another column, status, which is similar to the custom id column. Okay, so the same of the status are not stored in the table, so to store the somewhere else in the order status table. Now our order can either be processed, shipped or delivered, and these are identified for each of these status. Now back in our table data, in the status column we store the order status id. So now we can write the query to join the order table and with two other tables. So the customer table and the order status table, the result of the query is going to look like this. So for each order we can see the order id and the date, first name, last name, and the customer. So finally the status order. So this is beautiful. For importing we should create a user. So let's show how we can write the query. So basically we are going to use SQL store. For that I'm just going to write select star from order O, this is alliance I'm given, and join customer C, and on O dot customer id is equal to C dot customer id. Cool. So this is the join statement which I'm just giving on the order of this order and customer. Now the same output, whatever I'm getting it from here, I'm going to put it in status use, joining the status use which I have given under OS. Okay, so basically if you can see, the status is this one, correct? So status of the table, so we have the order status id, that is 123, and the name is name I can put it as processed or delivered. So I'm just putting as a O dot status and OS dot order status id. So basically when these two are going to be same, I am getting the output of this column. Hope this is clear so far. Now in the real world, as you work on the more complex problem, you may end up with the joining even 10 tables. So this is not uncommon in the SQL world. So now let's go ahead and execute this query. The first we can see this, the as we have used this select star, we can see all the columns are getting printed. And if I'm going to make the specific columns with from that specific table, I'm just going to write it O dot order id, O dot order date, or C dot, and from the customer table I want to write the first name or the last name, so C dot first name and the C dot last name. Then OS, I'm going to write it with the order status, I'm going to write it with the name as status. Okay, so name we are going to write it as a status. So this is all we have, and if I'm going to execute this query, you can see these are the 5 columns which is being taken from the 3 different tables, which is order table, customer table, and the status table. Cool. Now let's do an exercise. This exercise is pretty simple. We have take a look of the SQL inventory database. Here we have this table payment, and are the payment of each client are made towards the even invoice. So let's take a look of this data. We have the column client ID and identifier the client. So it is joining this table. So with the client table we can see the name of the client. Next we have invoice ID. So you also have date, amount, and payment method. So similarly we can join this method with the payment method table here, and let's have a look at the data in the table. These are the payment method: card, credit card, cash, PayPal, or with even wire transfer. So we have multiple payments as well. So I wanted to write a query to join the table to payment and through client table. Okay, so let's solve this. So if I'm going to use this, first of all, SQL invoicing table, so that's why I'm using the SQL invoicing, and select star from payment P. So payment and is a table, and another table is a client table, so I'm writing it as a client C. On joining these two tables, I'm taking the identifier as P dot client ID and C dot client ID. Cool. So this is two tables which I'm going to join, that is from payment, and another is from the client ID. Cool. So far so good. payment method ID column to the payment method table. So back in the query, we use a join statement here to join the payment method. Okay, so to give a length of PM on P dot payment method, and should be equal to the PM dot payment method ID, correct? So once this is going to give correctly, otherwise you will be getting an error if you have not given the alliance properly. So let's go ahead and execute this query. We will be getting the finally we will pick up the column of the most sense, and so make this as from the payment method. I'm just going to payment table, I'm going to take date and invoice ID. From the client table, I need a client ID or invoice ID or the date or the in amount or the payment method, anything you can go ahead and pick it up which is being required. So as of now, from the payment itself, I can pick the amount column as well. So because we have the amount, and the client, if you were going to check the client, you will be having the address or the details of the client, what the let's see the name of the client finally from the payment method table. So let's select the column called name. So back in the query, pm.name, which is like payment method dot name, that is one thing. And so the end of the result, now we can put the column in the order to that we want, so it does not matter. So let's execute this query, and here we got the output of the on the invoice, and we have the payment option, client using a credit card here. So thank you so much guys to be with us, and do subscribe to Code for Placement. We will be coming up with more such videos on database SQL. Thank you so much. Thank you.